What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we're taking a look at the Shirogorov F3 Alatex in black. Now, there's some debate on what color this knife actually is. To me, it's, in person, it kind of pops between gray and very, very dark purple. With a huge light on it, it looks more dark purple, but they're calling it Black Alutex. So, pretty excited to take a look at this today. This will join the F3 Alatex series that's currently up on the channel. I'm trying to get a hold of every single one of these to do a video on, just to kind of show what they look like, what's cool about them, what the color is basically, and some of the materials, etc. So I've long told this on many videos now. This has to be one of the best value offerings that Shirogorov has ever done. So excited to kind of talk about this for, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long we normally do, and kind of go into details on it. So, Shirogorov F3 Alatex in black. That's on the docket today. Grab a Coke, grab a coffee, whatever, beer, water, wine, and sit back, relax. It's more of a casual environment. As a reminder, check out bladezilla.ca. That's my site. There you go. In Canada, lots of good stuff on there. Moved up some F3 some 111 Arams, still kicking around a few of those. Got a prototype TR3 in, really cool. Just added a couple Three Rivers manufacturing as well. Lines into the store, some Microtechs, some custom knife factories, Wingman EDC, Yans, Riets, all kinds of cool stuff lately. Even still have a pair of Koenigs in there that are kind of hiding in plain sight. So lots of good stuff on the site. Check out bladezilla.ca, but we're not here to see that. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the knife, and that's what's on the docket today. So where do we start on this guy? Well, let's get some measurements. If it's your first time seeing F3, it's probably good to know the size. It's a big knife. It's considered a large knife, or full size. So we're coming in at 8 3/4 inches overall length, with a blade length under 4 inches. I believe it's around 95 mils as well, but might be a hair over that depending on kind of how it's ground. Looks like, I don't know, center choil 4 inches or less, so in that range. It's a good size. Oh, and handle, where are we at on the handle? 4 3/4, is that right? Yeah, about there. Really good size knife, and the Shiros, Shiro equals Shirogorov. They just have a lot more blade than you'd expect out of that measurement. So, all right, where do we start on this bad boy? Let's show it with some comparables. So we'll do a neon, and let's move this down and kind of put it into the 2/3 frame location, and we'll do some comparables above. So neon is the Shiro's smallest size knife. This is a neon. I don't think I have any more of these on the site. I had a bunch of them, but this is the Neon Light, Lite, with a Chromax blade. It's my personal knife here. Love it. It is such a cool knife, just because it's plain tie with Chromax. In the middle, I'm going to throw an Astrum for size comparison, which is basically, I call it a bigger neon. And if you look at kind of the ergonomics of the knife, the thinness of the handle, just the overall design, it's to me screams big neon. I love this knife. It is highly underrated. Some people that I know who have mailed and asked about, hey, what do I want to try, a neon or an F95? I say try an Astrum, and you'll fall in love with the brand. It's just so well designed. Let's grab some bigger guys here. What do we want to do? An F95? Let's do a Quantum. Let's do the Monkey Edge Frag Quantum. There you go. Same size as the F3. Let's move that out of the way. This is the same size as the F3. It's just a little bit different of a design. It's obviously a frame lock instead of a liner lock. So size-wise, it's a little thinner in hand. Not as contoured in hand, I'd say. Kind of filling your palm. That's the F3's more convex. Fun word. But size-wise, length-wise, pretty darn similar. And as you guys know, they make a G10 variant of the Quantum called the Quantium, right? Much like the Hattie is to the F95. This is a G10 scaled Quantum called the Quantium. So that's a fun little thing. Same size, just a little bit lighter. I think by about 1/2 ounce. Is that right? Around there. Really, really good size knife, and a good price point with multi-row bearings. We can do, actually, let's not do another Quantum. We've got enough Quantums. Let's do a Hattie. So this is an F95 with a carbon scale on the front. This particular one is obviously mine. It's from CCKS, I think 2021. And it has some unique features, but size-wise, it's still a Hattie. Really cool knife. And I've done a review on a couple different variants of Hatties, and I think I still have a couple in the store. I thought I had some black ones, like full black carbon and some white carbo ties. I have to check, but I did bring in a bunch of those, so I think I still have some. This particular one would be a little bit more money because it's got a copper backspacer, which looks sick, and it comes with a poker chip that kind of matches it and stuff, but an inlaid F95 Hattie. Pretty cool. Just different knife, different size in the hand. Really, really cool. And then we can get into some kind of cool stuff here if we want to get into it. So we can do a strip. I did a video on the recent Shiro strip. It has to be one of my favorite knives. It's kind of the opposite of the Astrum. Long blade, thin in hand. This is a short blade, thick in hand. It is just such a cool knife. And I think the video on the strip was an hour long. So if you want to sit back and watch an hour of me talk about one knife, I think it's the only video I've ever done, actually, that ended up being a full hour. So really cool knife. I highly suggest watching that video. And oh my god, one of my favorite all-time Shirogorovs. And it's been a love it or hate it. Some people love it, other people can't stand it. I'm on the, obviously, I love it. Shirogorov Bio. This is a collaboration piece with Dmitry Sinkovich, and this is a Bio Dark. Really cool design as well. Size-wise to the F3. We can do the RJ Martin Russian Overkill. Full tie, RJ Martin, Shiro made. Gorgeous beast in S90, is it S90V or is this M398? I can't remember. What does it say on here? Yep, there it is. M398. I thought it was S90V. I'm glad I actually caught that. And then the Mac Daddy of them all. This is the Russian Laksa Scott Cook collaboration. First Shiro integral they ever did. Size-wise, very similar. Actually, thickness-wise, also very similar. It's a high knife off the table, as you can probably tell. And just an overall beauty. Also did a video on this one. That was this exact one. That was probably, geez, over 45 minutes or close to an hour. I lose track. You know, we're in this video and I'm probably already 5+ minutes in and I haven't even really talked about the knife. That's the story of my life. The story of my knife. And then what don't we do a Zahn today instead of a Sebenza? So here's your large, or your, I guess, large variant of a Chris Reeve. So that's the Zahn in an S45 VN configuration. Great knife. I would love it to be glass blasted with MagnaCut, but you know, there's some guys that are really starting to love the S45s. Don't make them anymore. So pretty cool. Okay, there's some good comparisons. I don't think I really want to do any more than that. Yeah, we'll stop the comparisons there and just talk about this knife more than anything. So what is Alatex? Well, it's aluminum weaved into, it's aluminum flaked into a weave, and you kind of get these really cool colorways that kind of pop out. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head how many variants of the F3s they've done in Alatex now. So I think there was emerald and aquamarine, which are kind of blue colors. They did a brown, which looked really, really awesome as well, which was more of a red. And purple. I think I still have a purple. I may have to do a video on that one because it's like electric purple, really, really bright. And shockingly, those did really well. And you know, when they release these, you see, okay, they call it black, and you go, okay, it's just going to be black Alatex, great, it's going to look fantastic. And then it shows up and it's like dark gray purple color, and you're like, weird, I didn't expect that. And then they say purple, and it's like electric purple, and you go, oh, I don't know how popular that's going to be. And then yes, people love it. So I think the knife business is just, I think consumer demands is just changing a little bit with these electric colorways and super loud pieces. I just maybe it's more of a younger crowd that's starting to buy some of this stuff. And, you know, Shiro's adapting, which is cool. But to me, this one looks really sick. Really, really nice. Dark, definitely dark. And remember, I'm hitting this right now with a 3-foot light and another light in front of it from a window. So you're getting literally the brightest color variant that you're going to see of this. In kind of more subtle light, it's a lot darker. Okay, it's more gray once you kind of turn light off of it. LMAX blade, which is written on the inside of the blade here. LMAX, great steel. I really dig it. Really, really dig it. I've got no issues with LMAX. It is that liner lock variant as well, so you can kind of see inside here that's a titanium frame. And just seriously, seriously smooth. And I'll grab my little light to show you that it's... I've taken some material out of this one. Let's take a look. So you can see on the inside there's a big kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like weaved, kind of like S's and whatnot. Like when you take these things apart, they're as gorgeous inside as they are outside. Very, very pretty knives. Very, very nice. So highly recommend when you do carry one of these guys, get the tool for the hardware. And yeah, take them apart, admire them. They're gorgeous inside. This particular F3 will have that titanium backspacer. Why is that important? Well, the previous variants of a standard F3 didn't have tie backspacer. They had G10 at the same price point or within like 20 bucks kind of thing. To me, the G10, great. It's more of a work material. It's a heavier duty material, I'd say, than Alatex. It's durable. But I love the tie backspacer. Like that really completes it for me in conjunction with the with that pivot, right? I just think it works really, really well. How would I say this? Like, I'm trying to remember here, the G10 variant, I think I had some black ones, and did I have some micarta? I may have had some micarta F3s. And I thought the pivot ring here, I thought that was actually G10 as well, on the pivot collar. So they tend to match the two, right? On the F3 design, they match the backspacer and they match that pivot collar. So both are titanium. They look great. People say that on this knife they go, oh, it's a very plain backspacer. Well, it's still actually quite beveled, despite no gear pattern. And you know what? Why don't I show you a gear pattern on, where's that Hattie that I just put away? Right? People wanted a more of a backspacer kind of like this, with a little bit of kind of gearing on it or whatever. And that's fine. I think it looks sweet. But that's also a knife that's, geez, another $500 US. So, you know, does it really matter? Not really. You still get that hidden lanyard hole as well. So if you want to kind of throw a lanyard on there and make it look fancy schmancy, then you certainly can. And then from the side profile, unlike the Stellar, there's no hole back here that kind of interrupts the flow of the design. So that's why a lot of people really like this. As well, a lot of people like the F3 because it's very lefty friendly. It just kind of is, which is awesome. The action is on multi-row bearings, MRBS, which should be written somewhere on the knife. I can't recall where they put it on this one. It's typically up here, but is it in front of the backspacer? It might be. Yeah, there it is. MRBS, multi-row bearing system, which is Shiro's high-end production bearing system. They also have single-row bearings, or SRB, which is, to me, like just fine. Like it's like a standard ball on a track. It's what when someone says, hey, it's on bearings, that's what their SRB is, or SRBS. MRBS, multi-row bearings, it's more of a 2 or 3 bearings in a pinwheel pattern in a circle, and it just adds a little more kind of contact between the blade and the frame. So for that side-to-side rigidity, it just kind of adds a little structural, what's the word I'm looking for? A little more, it's just more stable side-to-side. Let's just leave it at that. And it's ultra smooth. And F3s particularly, they're some of the smoothest out of the box that you get for Shiro. They just float. Oh, this one even is just beyond. So silky smooth. Oh, I love it. Now, as per the gear spacer conversation, I should put the knife like this to show. A lot of the Shiros, they like to match the jimping on the blade to the back spacer, and a lot of the configurations and designs. Personally, in this case, you still get jimping on the blade. It's very standard. It's quite comfortable. It's high up on the blade, I will say that. When you're using it, you really got to reach to touch it. So, you know, large glove hand kind of thing. An XL fits fine. I've got an XL glove, and I've got plenty of room on this handle. A medium large would probably just fit as well, just fine. But most people, they end up throwing their thumb on top of this beveling behind the jimping, I find anyway. But if you want to choke ahead on it, you certainly can. No issues there. Speaking of that beveling, what's it for? Well, it's for when you flip that tab open. And this is what Shirogorov does so well, is that they really factor in the user who's kind of flipping these things around. And when you open that blade, where does your finger go? Bloop, right into that little slot there. No sharp edges. It's just really comfortable. It just makes a lot of sense. That's what I feel like. You know, it just makes sense. Right? Super smooth. Very light lockup as well. No over travel stop, as the frame kind of adds that feature kind of subconsciously. I'd be kind of curious to know, you know, someone who's using one of these, say at like a beach setting, how much sand would kind of get in here, if that would affect anything. One of the beauties of a frame lock versus this style is that you can't really get anything in there. So I'd be kind of curious to know feedback on if people get anything in there, maybe even pocket lint. It'd just be something to keep track of, or just, you know, get a blowgun or blow it out once every little while. Actually, no, looking underneath this thing, you're actually seeing it's quite machined on that backspacer too. It's stepped down. I thought it was more smooth. That's cool. It's a nice little feature. The Shiro hardware as well is kind of small, medium, large on these ones. So I think these ones are large and small. There's kind of one in between. But, you know, the tool, I'll show you the tool as well here. This is a custom division variant, and they have inside here, they call it a reverse bit, which is for the custom division knives. But get a Shiro tool, they're really cool. And it's a lot easier to work on your knives when you have the right tools. But the Cyber tool is kind of a 90-degree bend version with all the bits that you need. And just get them. You're not going to mar up the bits, but in a pinch you could use like a penny, something softer than the material itself. Or I guess you could even use like a debit card or credit card folded on itself. And I just want to find, do I have a knife with a reverse bit on it in front of me here? Where's that RJ Martin to show you what I'm talking about? There's a couple here that have the previous owner of this particular one kind of marred up, but that's the reverse bit. So it's not a screwdriver style like a flathead, it's the opposite of a flathead. So the reverse bit gets those off, but you know, if you're getting into Shiro, you're going to need the bits for these knives anyway, just because that's what you do. Variants of this compared to the F3, I guess you'd call it NS, F3 new style. The clip's attached externally instead of internally. So I did a video recently on the CCKS 2025, I believe, MagnaCut F3, which is an NS, and that one was attached internally. So a little different, same but different, very close, which is fine. But it would be right inside here. There'd be a little screw that would attach that and just kind of cleans it up. But you still get all the cool milling that's on that clip. And hopefully you're watching in 4K. And you can see how cool that milling is. It's beautifully done. And these knives, you find things sometimes like even under the clip, there'd be like milling lines where you just go, oh my god, this is next level. Shiro bear on the blade still, and that's kind of, I feel like it's a design feature that they're aware of, because if we look at the Astrum Where did my Astrum go? This is a problem. Too many knives, not enough time. If we look at the Astrum, they've moved the bear, even on the Stellar, they've moved the Shiro bear to the handle, which is nice, right? It's a beautifully designed knife. You take the bear off the blade, so now it's out of the way of the cutting path, and you're not going to wear it off, right? So same thing, Stellar and this, they moved it there. But on an Alatex handle, where do you put it? There's nowhere to blend a bear into this, unless you spend more resources on planing or milling off, part of it, like they've done on, what knife was that? The Stellaris, I think, has that. Stellaris is a custom division variant. It's a full carbon fiber variant of the Stellaris, and I believe they bonded it on the heel here, like a little titanium plate, and they put a bear on that, I think. I could be wrong. I'm usually wrong, and I apologize if I am wrong, but I think that's their workaround on carbon fiber. So on Alatex, it's no different. You'd have to bond something in there and then put the bear there. So I'm totally fine with it being on the blade at this price point. It's already punching well above its weight class in terms of the materials. Titanium backspacer, LMAX blade. It's such an incredible value comparatively, and that's why they've been really popular. They've been sickly popular. And just really comfortable, the F3s. They fill up your hand a little more than an F95, I'd say. But it's all rounded. And if you go and walk yourself around the frame of these knives, you'll see everything's just nicely smoothed out. Very 3D milled. Really comfortable in hand. All the edges aren't sharp all the way around. And it's hard to show this, but if I can kind of lean the knife like this, hopefully you can kind of see how much of this knife is actually rounded off in kind of a convex pattern. And it just fills up your hand. And even the clip with that rounded profile to it, and this is probably my favorite spot on this knife. No one really sees it. They always get distracted by this right here, those milling lines. But if you roll that clip, there's like even more milling lines on this side of it that are kind of hiding in plain sight. Oh, it looks so good. So the clip back to the rounded profile, it just fills your palm really, really nicely, and does a really good job of just filling your palm. Like you feel like you're holding a really comfortable knife. You could use it all day long. And let's not lie, a knife like this should be a really solid user. I don't see too many people buying an LMAX or an Alatex production Shiro and collecting them, putting them in the safe. These are your everyday carries. Like, that's what it's all about. Super silky action on those bearings, really good steel to be utilizing, and they're going to hold their value. That's the beauty of this knife. Just a solid workhorse, both in design and detail. How would I improve it? You know what? Let's not deny it. It'd be cool to have a geared backspacer. But once again, if they do that, now you're getting into the F3NS territory. Now you're probably flirting with different blade steels. Now you're probably flirting with $200-$400 more for something that it's like, well, now you're kind of straying a little bit far from the whole purpose of the knife. Being that everyday carry, good value, you're competitive with like a Sebenza at this price point, but to me, you're getting way more value here. And the fact that you can pick the color, and it's cool, dark purple, gray, whatever you want to call it, charcoal purple, it's cool. And they're still going to offer different variants. I think I still have some brown, which is basically red. I've had some orange ones come through. They're cool. I'd have to check inventory of what variants of this knife I still have at the time of filming this, or when it comes out. They're going to be two different video or timelines. But I'm telling you guys, they've got some real cool versions of this knife. And Alatex, don't be sleeping on this material. It's tough stuff, and it is gorgeous in the sunlight. You are not going to get the feel for this knife until you take it out, put it under sunlight, and see how all these little weaves of aluminum inside here pop and move around in the sunlight. It's like a well-cut diamond, honestly. And people who have the knife can absolutely vouch for that. And, you know, I recall just recently someone picked up an orange F3, and just seeing their reaction the first time they looked at it. It was outside, and it just pops like all this gold out of that orange color. It was so cool. So cool. And I don't know if I filmed the F3 orange video or not. I can't recall. I'd have to check. But if I have some, I'll certainly film one. My goal here is to actually film that electric purple one after this today, because I haven't done that one yet. Somehow missed it, and I apologize. But really, really cool knife. One of my favorites. One of my all-time favorites. There was some discussion around these Alatex handles kind of on the back by the lanyard hole being a potential spot that if you drop the knife could have some issues. I don't think so, because that backspacer actually protrudes outside the handle and will act as a bit of a guard there. Just keep that in mind. It would have to fall very specifically on that corner to cause any issues. And at the end of the day, it would just be a scale replacement. It's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Super silky. They fire out so nicely too. Alright, well, I've probably chatted for 20 minutes. I wanted to do 10 or 15 on this knife, but once again, if I'm over 20, I apologize for those sitting here listening to me ramble on about a gorgeous knife. It's the Shiros are a bit of a curse, because once you buy one, you'll end up having about 10 of them in no time. They like to reproduce, and they're just so well made and so gorgeous, and in a bit of a league of their own right now, kind of at this price point. So I have seen, and I'm a big believer that it's a great knife. A bunch have gone out the door, and they make a really good product at this price point. Shiro just makes a great product, period. Like I said, it's a disease. You can go from this to $5,000 very quickly with the brand, and every couple $100 along the way, you're like, oh, I get that feature. Oh, I really like this. Oh, roller bearings. Oh, that's a cool blade steel. Oh, that's a nice design. And before you know it, you're in full custom territory and remortgaging your house. Your wife has left you, and you've got a beautiful case of knives that doesn't complain about what you made for dinner. So there you go. A little bit of a sidetrack. Apologize about that, but it's a great knife. Certainly appreciative of it, and I guess my humor is probably not the best way to talk about it, so I'm sorry. Alright guys, well I think that's going to be it on the F3 Alatex Black. Great knife. Check it out, bladezilla.ca. Follow me on TikTok, on Instagram. You're watching it on YouTube already, so throw a thumbs up on the video. Hit like, obviously, or subscribe every Monday, Thursday, 7 a.m. Eastern. There'll be a full-length video of something. I've kind of held that schedule now for about 1.5 years, so it's kind of working, I guess. And more than anything, go check out the site, bladezilla.ca, and send me a message or whatever. It's always fun to chat knives. It's a passion first and foremost, and I love this stuff just as much as you guys do. So it's always cool to see some cool knives, and this F3 Alatex Black is no exception. Alright guys, have yourself a fantastic week, and until next time, we'll see ya. Peace.